Good morning, everybody. This is Dr. Mike, your instructor for IT 140, Introduction to Python Programming. Today, I want to talk about pseudocode. What is pseudocode? And why is this something we have to learn? And it turns out that some students are having difficulties with this, and that's okay. Today, we will cover pseudocode. I'm going to show you some examples of some problems, and then we are going to create some pseudocode to solve those problems, and then we'll create some Python after that. So let's look at three problems. I think the examples will probably help you if you're having challenges understanding how to write pseudocode. So, problem number 1. Calculate the weekly salary before tax and deductions of an hourly employee based on the number of hours worked. Then print the results. That sounds pretty simple. In this particular problem, if we're going to write pseudocode, right, not actual Python, just pseudocode, all we have to do is describe what we are going to do in English. So I've already done that, and here's the code right there, the pseudocode. Simple. These are just comments, and in fact, this is what I recommend everyone do. Just write the comments for your program, and then we'll fill in the Python later. So, obviously, if we're calculating weekly salary, we need to know the number of hours worked. That's this part. So we're going to prompt the user for that. We're going to get the hourly rate. We're going to calculate the salary, which is just basically hours times rate. That's here. And then we print the results. That's it. If you were to use these 4 lines right here, that is valid pseudocode to solve this problem. Note, it's not Python, it's just pseudocode. English descriptions of what we are going to do. All right, and once you do that, you can then fill in the blanks and add the Python. And I've already done that. So let's go ahead and zoom down to here. Here's our first line, second, third, and fourth. So I have my comments, which will work as pseudocode, English descriptions of what I want to do, and then I wrote the code down there. Pretty simple, right? All right, let's look at problem number 2. Prompt the user for 2 integer values, a lower bound and an upper bound. The lower bound must be higher. Oh, I should actually rephrase that. The lower bound must be lower than the upper bound. There we go. Oh, that would have been a logical error, huh? Okay, so the lower bound must be lower than the upper bound. All right, then here's the important part. Keep prompting until the condition is met. Then print the upper and lower bounds. Okay, when you see this, keep prompting until the condition is met, that means we're going to use a loop, okay? So, that's okay. Let's go ahead and, do we have something for this? I do indeed. We've got the pseudocode right here. So I'm going to declare and initialize my upper and lower variables. And now I have a loop while lower is greater than or equal to upper. Remember, we don't really want lower to be greater than the upper or equal to the upper bound. Lower should be lower. So in this loop, we're going to keep prompting for input until the condition is met. And the condition in this case, what we want is the lower value to not be greater than the upper bound. So while that is happening in here, we're going to loop. So inside our loop, we prompt these for the lower bound, we prompt them for an upper bound, we print a message, this is what you've entered, we can just print that out, and then if all goes well outside, once they enter the correct values, we, outside the loop, will print the results. That's it. This right here is your pseudocode. English descriptions of what we are going to do. Now that we have this, can we actually see some Python for that? Of course. We have Python right here. Let me go ahead and uncomment that. And here you go. This is the Python for that pseudocode above. See? Declare, initialize the lower and upper variables. Done. Have our loop, and then we convert to Python right here. While upper is there it is. So while lower is greater than or equal to upper, we do our prompting. And this works because initially we set them to 0. And if you think about it, what this line is saying is while 0 is greater than or equal to 0, because that's what we have here initially, loop. All right, so we get inside the loop, and now we are prompting the user for their input for the upper and lower bounds. We print a little message saying, hey, this is what you've entered. Once this is all good, when lower is no longer greater than or equal to upper, we exit this, because remember, a while loop condition will loop only while the condition is true, and this is our condition check right here. So as soon as lower is no longer greater than or equal to upper, we exit this while loop, and we're done. Okay, now the third example, which is perhaps most relevant to your game that you have to write, is this. And let me go ahead and fix that. There we go. The user's in a room. And think about your game here, because you have to write a game that does something like this. The possible valid moves are north, east, south, and west. Prompt the user for their move, N, E, S, or W. Keep prompting for a move until the move is valid. And here's a little list I've created. Valid moves equals, and this is your list, of 4 letters, N, E, S, W. All right, so let's create some pseudocode for this. Here we go. That's it right there. Declare and initialize a list to hold the valid moves, and I've already done that. Display the valid moves. Declare and initialize a movement variable, something to hold the move, the N, the E, the S, or W. Loop while the move is invalid, okay, because we're going to prompt the user for their moves eventually here. There we go, we prompt for their move. We're going to trim the leading white space characters and trailing white space characters. We're going to convert the move to lowercase. We're going to print a display message saying, hey, this is what you entered. And then once they're successful, we're outside the loop, we print the results. That's it. So how does this look in Python? By the way, this is our pseudocode. You could turn that in if it was asking just for pseudocode, and boom, you would be done. But let's look at the Python for this. We have some Python here. Okay, here's the Python version of that pseudocode. The comments are still there. Okay, so declare and initialize a list to hold the values. We got it. These are our valid moves. Check. Display the valid moves. Check. We print those. Declare and initialize a movement variable. The user move equals, we'll just say blank right now. They haven't entered anything yet. Loop while the move is invalid. Okay, so while the user's move is not in the list of valid moves, remember here's valid moves right up here, while their move is not in the list of valid moves, we're going to loop around inside here. Okay, so initially their user move is equal to blank, so that's obviously not in the list of valid moves, so we're going to, this condition will mean, okay, we're true here, let's go inside the loop and see what happens. So we're going to prompt the user for their move, we're going to remove leading and trailing white space characters, and we're going to convert that to lowercase. Easy, easy. This one line of code does all that. I get their input, I display a little list of their valid moves. Note that I use the Python print formatting. Enter a move, and then I show the list of valid moves. That's this thing right up here. And then whatever it is they enter, I call the strip function. That's a built-in string function that removes leading and trailing white space characters. And then I convert that to lowercase. Problem solved, right? And then I print out what they entered. And as long as this condition check is true, we're going to keep looping until they eventually enter good input, a N, E, S, or W, and then we print that out and we're done. That's it. That's how easy it is to create pseudocode. This is actually a bunch of Python code combined with our text comments. But this was the pseudocode right here. Okay, that's not too hard to do when you think about it. It takes a little bit of practice though. But that's it, everybody. I hope this pseudocode introduction helps you, because writing pseudocode is pretty important. Because as you saw here, once I finished writing the pseudocode, which are really just English comments of what I'm going to do, filling in the code in Python was basically just a fill in the blanks exercise at that point. Okay, everybody, I hope this helps, and have a great day. Thank you.